FromSoftware is the go-to developer when you think of good boss design, epic soundtracks, and amazing visuals. Despite all the medals they have hanging from their neck, the Gales and Marias wouldn't be as good if not for the folding screen monkeys and One Reborns out there. So I thought, what if I set out to assemble every negative aspect of the worst FromSoftware boss fights into one single boss? Whatever is the result, I hope it never sees the light of day. To begin this hypothesis, I must lay the foundation for this research. What are the essential categories that any boss must ignore in order to feel like a waste of oxygen? As a long-time FromSoftware player, who's platinumed every title except for Demon Souls, this is my answer to this question. Varied gameplay, no minions to back them up, no running away from me all the time, be unique, have a good arena, the track must kick ass, no dumb gimmicks, no long runbacks, a nice presentation, it must be fair, and play a substantial role in the lore of their game. Now that we know what we're looking for, let's find our aberration. The first abysmal quality the worst boss ever must have is the gameplay variety of the ancient dragon from Dark Souls 2. In terms of fun, this thing is pathetic, alright? All you ever see it use is the flamethrower, the flying flamethrower, and the occasional stomp. What really doesn't help our guy leave the bottom tier is his HP, one of the highest in the series for a non-gimmick fight. How repetitive it is. It's pretty much smack the paw a few times and run away before the flames catch you, and hope not to be thrown out of the arena, which is an instant death. It drags on for too long, and mind you, you'll only see 3 moves in this back and forth that will take too many minutes to finish. Miserable. If the repetitiveness of the fight wasn't enough, let's add minions to it, courtesy of Rom the Vacuous Spider. To be honest, I don't mind extra normal enemies in boss fights, as long as they don't change the course of the fight much. And that's why I'm including Rom's mini-me's here. Her spiders are territorial. They are programmed to stay close to their master's ass and protect it at all costs. To do so, they will spit webs at you, hit you with their legs, and even break their own necks after a bad landing. The most irritating aspect about them is the damage they deal to our hunters. Usually, getting caught by their neck KO or their jump is enough to send you back to the nearest lantern, and that's why I hate them so much. They're the main reason of hunters' deaths. Not Rom, which leads us to the boring path of killing them all 3 times and then die to a sudden tantrum. Additional grunts and 5 figures of HP aren't the only artificial ways of prolonging a bad fight. You can also make the boss a spineless coward who runs away from you. This is a shot at you, pre-patch Elden Beast. Casuals will never know the abyssal pain of chasing after an upgrade from Ben 10 without torrent, and that's what the patch did. Add the ability of summoning your steed for this fight. I have no goddamn clue why this was not a feature at launch, considering this is basically an endless arena and the boss can go whatever it wants, throw projectiles at you, and after running a marathon while dodging bullets, the bastard literally says, "We are leaving!" Do you hear me, Miyazaki? Stop making me have to chase the boss. No one likes this Let's not drop Elden Ring. The next point is boss recycling, and who better than God's King Duo to show how not to make players fight a boss fight. There's really not much to say here. Virgil in Devil May Cry 3 is a good example of repeating the same boss but keeping it fresh every time. The Godskins are not bad per se, the Apostle is a much better fight than the Noble though, but I wish we didn't run into them as much as we do. It's like setting your favorite song as your morning alarm. After all the repetition, you'll end up detesting it. The cherry on top is how the duo is mandatory to finish the game. I really don't blame anyone for uninstalling the game right then and there. Sekiro, on the other hand, doesn't have much to be criticized about, except for everything to do with the ape duo fight. And in this case, we're targeting their arena. I guess that's the part where Activision put in all their efforts, because holy Jesus, and no, don't come at me saying, but Yuri, it's a cave, what can you do with it? Brody, are you telling me you haven't played the Ranked City? Or you didn't do Ronnie's Quest? I mean, you're comparing an ape to an immortal dragon who fought the abyss and an abomination created by the very stars. This is not fair. I mean, you'd be right if this were a common ape, but we're talking about an immortal headless creature who's capable of using a sword and housing a 10 feet tall centipede inside of it. I guess they could have come up with some more grotesque decorations for its den, But instead, they just proved why caves and sewers levels shouldn't exist in any game unless they're as brief as those relationships we've all had in primary school. Speaking of artistic direction, how about mentioning something we can't see, but only listen to? The OG Demon Souls soundtrack was an incredible win for those who are deaf. I'm not talking about every track in the game, some are still nice even almost 2 decades later, but check out the tracks for the Tower Knight and the Adjudicator. When I listen to this, I don't feel any epicness, sadness, triumph, evil. I'm rather empty, and I don't like saying this because it's not really fair to compare some of their earlier works with what they have now. But looking at it objectively, the original Demon Souls has some of the worst tracks in the Souls franchise. By the way, the next category makes every Souls players lose their shit, and that's long runbacks. How could we imagine the worst ever FromSoftware boss without Luden Zellen's runback? Christ almighty, let's do a recap of what we have now. A boss who has the Ancient Dragons gameplay entertainment, backed up by minions that hurt you as much as ROMs, and runs away every time you come close to it like Elden Beast. Someone you can fight half a dozen times throughout the game with nothing to distinguish it from one encounter to the next. The arena is a dark brown cave, the runback is longer than some bosses themselves, with enemies on the way, and the track will make you want to play it on mute. And I still got 4 more to go. Dark Souls 1 really thought it was leaving this video unscathed. But no, buddy. You have arguably the worst boss ever in Bed of Chaos, so I'm choosing to add falling floors that will lead you to an instant death. I don't think I have to explain why needing to jump from one platform to the other while a boss pushes you isn't a great idea in a non-platforming game, so yeah, on to the next point. And Dark Souls 2 is back at the spotlight with this one, bringing us the presentation of prowling mages and congregation. Simply, everything here happens before you notice. And not in a good way. The facade of the building where you fight them really makes you think you're crossing one of these pointless fog walls until you see a boss health bar appear at the bottom. You get jumped by some chumps, you slash your weapon blindly at them for a few seconds, and it's over before you notice. For my second to last option, I wanted to have a lot of HP so the fun doesn't go away in just a couple of minutes. Let's add Ishin's 4 phases, just for the giggles. And finally, my masterpiece must have the aesthetic of true Kangaland. A dark blob of sewer water does the trick very well. I mean, this is as interesting as things can go, so I'll take it. Now that our FromZodia is assembled...
This is disgusting. This is awful in every way.
Let's imagine how a boss fight would go. Close your eyes for immersion. Your character is in an area called the Dung Pits. It's dark and full of excrement. You spend a long time running around trying to find a creature that lives in these depths, until you do. But the path has taken its toll on you. You see the fog wall at the end of the hallway. You start running with half of your HP and 1 Estus left. You manage to cross it, and behind it, a 2 feet tall ball of pus that you've defeated multiple times as a normal enemy. Now, it has a boss health bar and a different colored palette. It starts shooting projectiles at you, no questions asked. Confused as to why this thing is vomiting bile at your character with no presentation and 0 lore to give you any insight on what it is, you start pushing towards it. 10 steps was all it took to reach the center of this cramped, damp, dark cave. As you mash R1 to hit it, it boils down into the soil and reappears at the other end of the arena. You seem confused because the looks of the boss and its abilities don't match at all. It seems so pathetic, but deadly all at once. You turn around, try to reach it once more, floating like a butterfly amidst all the shots coming at you. You hit it, but it's all air. The blob was already gone before you noticed it. You, as a player, start feeling a sort of headache because of the exaggeratedly goofy track in the background. You feel like this is worthless, and that there must be an item that you need to make this go smoother. You try to run away by teleporting to the nearest bonfire, and right before your character fades away, a smaller feces-looking enemy grabs you by the ankle. You turn your camera around and see a dozen smaller dungish creatures coming at you. They want to protect their king. You have no other choice but to keep fighting. You clear the place of its grunts, all while being shot at. Luckily, the projectiles are easy to evade. The creature's fighting skill is null. All it knows is to shoot feces from afar and run away when you get closer. Suddenly, you realize there are some pots of sand hanging from the ceiling of the cave. It seems to be there to be shot at so you can slow down the creature. You open your inventory while moving around to avoid getting hit, equip the bow, and shoot an arrow. Bang! The creature has been slowed down. Now's your chance. You land a few hits in, and surprisingly, it dies. Your rush of dopamine is promptly cut short because another health bar appears below. Oh no, now the ground's shaking and this organism is morphing into something much bigger. Now, it comes at you. You feel stressed. Drink your Estus before it finishes evolving. While it comes towards you, its brute steps keep shaking the ground, to the point where some parts of the floor start collapsing, showing an abyss below. After 5 minutes of back and forth, swinging at it, you defeat it again. Yet, it still rises once more. Finally, the creature manages to land a struck at your character, and that's all it took to send him down to the abyss. The game abruptly rolls credits. Looks like it has a non-canon ending, and that's losing the fight. In Dark Souls 1 fashion, there's no way to return to roaming around exploring freely. Do you want to start New Game Plus? The game asks. As someone who's just been through pure torture, you select no. Staring at the blank monitor, you said to yourself, someday I'll come back and beat it. But it's been 10 years now and you never did. Now, with a family to support, a mortgage to pay, and a 9 to 5, you wonder if you'll ever have the chance to give it another go.